She texted me from a Las Vegas hotel suite. Just married my coworker. You're pathetic, by the way. That was the last message she ever sent from our joint phone plan. It came in at exactly 2:17 a.m. I remember the timestamp because I didn't even blink when I saw it. I stared at the screen for a moment, then read it again, word for word. Just married my coworker. No explanation. No apology. Not even a warning. You're pathetic, by the way. That part stuck harder than the rest. That was the punch. That was the part meant to break me. I didn't scream. I didn't throw my phone. I didn't even sit up straight. I just stared, then typed one word. Cool. I placed the phone face down on the bedside table, got out of bed, and walked barefoot across the wooden floor to my laptop. My fingers didn't hesitate. No shaking. No second thoughts. I opened our shared bank account first. Transferred my recent paycheck into a solo account I had set up years ago, just in case. Closed all her debit cards. Froze the joint ones. She wouldn't be buying champagne on my dime. Next, I opened the utility accounts, water, gas, electricity. Removed her name from each one. Quiet, surgical, final. Then came the smart lock system. I logged in, changed the passcode, and deleted her profile from the app. No more fingerprint access, no more garage entry. She had taken a trip to Vegas under the excuse of a corporate retreat. Told me it was going to be back-to-back meetings, late nights, lots of team bonding. I probably won't have time to talk much, she said. I nodded like a fool and wished her luck. Watched her wheel away that rose gold suitcase, high heels tucked carefully inside. Now I saw her plan clearly. She didn't just cheat, she wanted to humiliate me. To toss me away like used gum and then spit on the pavement for good measure. But instead of reacting like the broken man she expected, I made one more quiet move. I opened the folder on my desktop labeled House Plans, clicked the deed application, and removed her name. We had never officially filed it, just prepped it. Her name was gone now. She never contributed to the down payment anyway. After everything was locked down, protected, and firewalled, I closed the laptop. I walked back to bed, slid under the covers, and turned my phone completely off for the night. Not silent mode, off. I lay there in complete darkness, heart steady, mind clear. And then I did something that might surprise you. I slept like a baby. I wasn't flashy. I never needed to be. I liked the quiet things, making her tea without her asking, remembering her schedule better than she did, ironing her blouse before an early meeting. I didn't do those things to impress her. I did them because I loved her. Erica back then was worth it. We met 8 years ago at work, both grinding through long hours in IT support, constantly fixing what other people broke. We were equals then, laughing over shawarma in the stairwell, comparing notes on idiot clients and broken systems. I admired her drive, her wit, her ability to light up a room when she wanted to. She was hungry for more, and I wanted to help her get there. When she said she wanted to get her MBA, I offered to work extra hours so we could manage. She didn't even have to ask. I thought we were building something. I thought we were a team. Somewhere along the way, though, the Erica I loved started to fade. I noticed it slowly, like watching paint peel off a wall you walk past every day. Her laugh started sounding different, sharper, more performative. Especially around Owen, her coworker. The first time I caught them alone in the office, she was laughing too hard at something he said, hand on his arm. She didn't even flinch when I walked in. Just gave me a look like I was the one intruding. When I asked her about it later, she rolled her eyes and said, "It's just office politics, Liam. Don't be weird." That was her favorite word lately, weird. I became weird for noticing her silences. Weird for asking why her phone was always face down. Weird for saying I missed how we used to be. Once, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You've gotten too comfortable. There's no fire in you anymore." That hurt more than I let her see. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just nodded and sat with it, because I'd always been the calm one. The stable one. The man she once said made her feel safe. She stopped waiting up for me. I'd come home from late shifts to find her laughing in the bedroom, on video calls she never explained. She started dressing differently, sleek, sharp, every outfit a statement. At first, I told myself it was just her evolving. People grow, right? But then came the missed dinners, the mysterious offsites, the last-minute trips that weren't in any work calendar. The silence between us stopped being peaceful. It turned into distance. Cold, deliberate distance. I tried to talk to her. Twice. The first time, she dismissed me with a sigh and told me not to create problems where there were none. The second time, I asked her if she was happy. She stared at me and said, "I'm content." That word, content, landed like a slap. I should have known then. But part of me kept hoping she'd come back. Not physically, emotionally. Spiritually. She never did. Erica was already at the door, suitcase in hand, when I came downstairs. "It's just a product retreat," she said, barely looking up from her phone. 2 nights in Vegas. Some Arizona folks are flying in. I'll be rooming with Janelle. Janelle again. Always Janelle. The mysterious colleague I'd never met, never seen, never even heard on a phone call. I nodded, more to myself than to her. "You need help packing?" She paused, just for a moment, barely noticeable to someone who didn't know her like I did, then shook her head. "No, I've got it." Something in the way she said it didn't sit right. Her voice was clipped, impatient. She leaned down, zipped the bag, and avoided my eyes like the truth might slip if we held eye contact too long. She kissed my cheek like she was clocking out of a job, then pulled the door shut behind her. No smile. No warmth. I stood there for a moment, not moving, letting the silence settle around me. Then I walked upstairs, opened the closet, and confirmed what I already suspected. Her work laptop? Still at home, untouched. Company ID badge? Hanging on the mirror. But her black halter dress was gone. So were the red heels she only wore when she wanted to be noticed. I didn't see any of her usual business clothes missing. No pencil skirts, no flats, no blazer. It wasn't just what she packed. It was what she left behind. On Saturday, I checked the shared iPad we used for streaming and family expenses. She was still logged in. Her company Slack status was marked as away vacation. Not retreat. Not even OO. I searched for the company calendar. No mention of any event. No retreat. Nothing official. That night I sat alone in the kitchen and remembered the last time she laughed, really laughed, with me. It had been months. Maybe longer. I was watching the collapse from inside the house, and now I finally knew the foundation was already cracked. On Sunday, I checked the bank. One of our joint cards had a $212 charge from a Vegas boutique. Then a dinner bill, $407. She'd used the joint account to wine and dine while playing someone else's bride. I didn't call her. Didn't confront her. What would be the point? By the time the text came in at 2:17 a.m., just married my coworker. "You're pathetic, by the way." I'd already disconnected emotionally. She thought that message would break me. Instead, it confirmed everything I'd quietly gathered. I replied, "Cool." Because by then it was. The house was quiet, but my mind was steady. Not racing, not clouded by anger, just clear. I wasn't shaking or shouting. I didn't cry. There was something strange about the way betrayal doesn't always hit like thunder. Sometimes it lands like a whisper. I sat down at the dining table, opened my laptop, and started. First, I went into our bank account. I saw the Vegas charges, meals at expensive restaurants, luxury shopping, cocktails, hotel add-on, all on the shared cards. Without hesitation, I logged her out, canceled every card with her name on it, and transferred my direct deposits to a new account I'd quietly opened 6 months ago, when the first signs had started to show. Next, I grabbed our insurance binder from the shelf. I called our health provider and asked for her to be removed from my plan. "She has coverage through her employer," I said plainly. They didn't ask too many questions. I hung up feeling oddly calm. Then I turned to the house. We had a smart system, locks, garage access, door cameras, alarm, all tied to an app. I opened it and did a full system reset. Changed the codes, removed her phone and fingerprint access, disabled her remote controls. I did the same for the garage door. Her car would no longer open it. I opened the vehicle tracking app next. A safety feature we'd agreed on, just in case, we once said. I deleted her sedan from the system entirely. She wouldn't know when I left or came home. She wouldn't know anything I didn't tell her myself. Then I went into the study, opened the drawer I hadn't touched in months. Inside was the prenup, her idea, not mine. Back then she joked, "You never know." Just protecting myself. I remember signing it to prove I trusted her. That memory didn't hurt anymore. I pulled it out, along with our tax returns, the unsigned house deed, bank statements. I scanned them all, saved them into a private folder on my laptop, and then attached them to an email. I sent it to my lawyer, Igioma. The subject line, possible marital separation. No drama, no explanations, just the documents. She'd know what to do. Then I opened my work email and typed a short message to Erica's boss. No bitterness. Just this. "Hi. Just notifying you that Erica has taken an unapproved leave for personal reasons. I assume this is known internally." That was it. When I was done, I made tea. sat on the couch. No tears, no rage, just silence. It felt like I was finally standing at the edge of something real, something I hadn't allowed myself to face until now. I wasn't planning revenge. I was locking the door behind her. Not out of hate, but peace. She'd made her choice, and now I was making mine. At exactly 8:12 a.m., I was finishing a second cup of coffee when the doorbell rang. I already knew who it was. Something in my gut told me to expect it. I didn't rush. I placed the mug down gently, wiped my hands on a kitchen towel, and walked to the front door. 2 uniformed officers stood there, one male and one female. Behind them, like some forgotten guest in her own life, stood Erica, dark sunglasses on, arms crossed like she was the one wronged. She didn't speak. She just looked through me. The taller officer started. "Sir, we received a call this morning about a possible domestic lockout situation. May we come in and speak with you?" I nodded without a word and stepped aside to let them in. Erica didn't follow. She stood outside on the porch like it was a stage she hadn't rehearsed for. We moved to the living room. The officer explained that Erica claimed she was locked out of her marital home and that several of her belongings were being withheld. It was clear from their tone. They weren't accusing, just investigating. "I understand," I said calmly, gesturing toward the dining table where I had already laid out some papers. I figured this might come up. First, I handed over a copy of the property deed. The house had been purchased in my name before the marriage, something Erica was fine with back then. Her name had never been added, and I had paperwork to prove it. Next, I opened the smart home app on my tablet and showed them the access log. No entry attempts had been made using Erica's old code or profile since the night she left for Vegas. There was no forced entry, no keypad tampering, no attempt to come home. She had simply called the police to make a point. Then came the heavier stuff. I showed them a printed email, dated 2 months earlier, from Erica's own account. In it, she had written the line I'd never forget. "I've already moved emotionally out of this marriage. I just haven't figured out how to tell you yet." The officers read it in silence. But the final document was what sealed it. I reached into a folder and pulled out a copy of the marriage certificate. Not ours, hers and Owen's. It was public record, filed in Clark County, Nevada. The date and time stamped just hours before she sent me that final text. I pointed to the timestamp. "I received this message from her phone that same night," I said, handing over a screenshot. "Just married my coworker. You're pathetic, by the way." Neither officer said anything for a moment. Then the female officer nodded slowly and looked back toward the door. "It appears there's no criminal matter here. This looks like a civil dispute. If she wants her belongings, she'll need to go through court channels." I nodded again. No anger, no satisfaction. Just clarity. They left quietly. Erica didn't even glance at me as she turned and walked back to the waiting patrol car. Her face was blank, but her posture was tight with embarrassment. For once, she had nothing to say. And that silence was the loudest apology I never got. I didn't want revenge. Not really. I wanted closure. I wanted accountability. And above all, I wanted peace. But peace doesn't come from silence when someone detonates your life like a grenade. Sometimes it comes from precision, from carefully placed truths. So, I let my lawyer do what lawyers do best, communicate without emotion. A formal ethics complaint was filed with Erica's company. It didn't come from me directly. It came from an anonymous internal party, drafted by my lawyer, IGOMA, and sent through official HR channel. Nothing dramatic, just facts, dates, and attachments. The complaint outlined Erica's marriage to Owen, a subordinate who reported to her directly. The email included the public record of their wedding certificate in Las Vegas, complete with a screenshot of the chapel's website featuring Erica and Owen under a cheesy neon, "Just Married" sign. The timestamps told their own story. She missed scheduled Zoom meetings and had marked those days as client strategy hours. The complaint pointed out the obvious. She had entered into a romantic and now legal relationship with someone directly beneath her in the company hierarchy without disclosing it to HR, which violated their professional conduct policy. I didn't hear anything for a few days. I wasn't expecting to. But corporate culture is a quiet machine. Once a screw is loose, it starts rattling everywhere. By the following Friday, the first ripple hit. Erica was pulled into HR for a conflict of interest inquiry. That same afternoon, Owen was too. Apparently, his resignation letter came the next morning, clean, polite, and rushed. He didn't even bother to clear his desk. Erica, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. Her suspension came by email first, pending investigation for breach of ethical disclosure. Her badge access was revoked temporarily, and she was asked not to attend the Monday morning senior leadership call. From what I heard, because even though I said nothing, people talk, her promotion to VP was placed on indefinite hold. She'd been in line for it, gunning for it like her whole career depended on it. Turns out it did. Gossip in offices is faster than email. By Wednesday, the entire department knew about the Vegas wedding. Screenshots had circulated. One employee joked in a group chat, "From KPIs to chapel vows in one Q4 retreat." Legendary. Erica became a cautionary tale. Her name, once sharp and feared in the company, became punchline material in break room. People whispered about how fast she'd fallen, from power suits to HR purgatory in a matter of days. And me? I didn't gloat. I went to work like usual. I clocked in, clocked out, drank my coffee, and minded my business. Because revenge wasn't about firework. It was about stillness. About watching a storm clear and knowing you didn't cause it, but you definitely built the shelter. She'd built her throne on control and secrets. And like anything without a foundation, it crumbled quietly, completely, and in public view. Filing for divorce wasn't an impulsive decision. It was the only logical next step. After everything Erica had done, I didn't know her anything. With IGOMA guiding every document, every clause, and every move, we filed first, fast, clear, and clean. We cited infidelity. We cited emotional cruelty. We cited abandonment. Because even before the Vegas stunt, she'd already left the marriage in every way that mattered. Emotionally, spiritually, and relationally, she had checked out long ago. Vegas was just the exclamation mark. IGOMA made sure the filing was airtight. Every attachment was in place. Every timeline was consistent. We served her with the papers at her temporary apartment, an address I only knew through public utilities record. The moment the divorce filing hit her inbox, Erica tried a different tone. Gone was the sharp attitude. She left a voicemail, her voice low and unsure. "Can we just talk first? Before lawyers?" I didn't respond. That part of my life, the part that let her manipulate through charm or chaos, was done. And here's where irony showed up. The very prenup Erica once demanded, thinking it was protecting her, now protected me. She was so confident back then, thinking I was the lucky one to be with her. She insisted on clauses that waived alimony, that protected each partner's income and assets unless jointly paid for. Back then, I signed because I thought she was right. Love didn't need money arguments. Turns out it saved me. Because of that prenup, anything that wasn't co-purchased fell back to the buyer. The house. I bought it before we got married. The second car? My name. The investments? Split based on contribution, which was heavily in my favor. She was left with almost nothing but her personal item, but she contested it anyway. Not because she wanted the marriage. She wanted control. She wanted the last word. Her lawyer tried to argue emotional distress, tried to propose an informal negotiation. IGOMA shut it down every time. No mediation unless it was court-ordered. Eventually, it was. We met one last time in a formal mediation room. Erica came in dressed like someone trying to pretend nothing had changed. Designer coat, oversized sunglasses, some crocodile handbag that probably cost more than our first vacation. She sat across from me and dabbed at her eyes, though no tears were falling. Just performance. I didn't match the drama. I wore a simple blue shirt and brought nothing but patience. I spoke when necessary, facts, numbers, timeline. No emotion. No accusations. The mediator read the agreement aloud. I retained full ownership of the house, the second car, and 70% of our shared savings. She would leave with whatever she had in her personal account and the items she took with her to Vegas. There would be no alimony, no support. She didn't argue. She just nodded slowly, signing the papers with a stiff hand. Maybe it hit her then, the reality that choices come with consequence. That was the last time I ever saw her. After the divorce papers were signed, everything didn't fall apart. Not for me, at least. For Erica, things began to unravel faster than even I expected. The corporate world she once ruled with sharp heels and sharper words turned its back on her almost overnight. The ethics investigation from her company didn't just end with a suspension. It spread. Quiet emails and phone calls between departments, heads of HR, partner company. Her name became tied to unprofessional conduct and policy breach. She didn't just lose her promotion. She lost her career lane entirely. Job offers dried up. Her LinkedIn grew quiet. And the marriage she rushed into? That didn't last either. 6 weeks after the Vegas chapel, Owen left her. No warning. No note. Just vanished. Maybe he realized that building something real with someone who cheated her way into that moment wasn't a foundation worth standing on. Or maybe he just didn't want to be the guy whose name came up every time someone mentioned a scandal in the industry. She tried to reach out to me. First it was a casual message through an unknown number. "Hey, can we talk?" Then an email a few days later. "I just want to explain. Not everything was what it seemed." I didn't open the second one. I just hit block. I don't think I was angry anymore. I just didn't have space for her in my life. From what I later heard through a mutual friend, she moved in with her cousin. She started selling off her designer bags online, one by one. The same ones she used to flaunt as symbols of her ambition and success. Now they were just reminders of a life she burned down herself. While she crumbled, I started rebuilding, quietly, steadily. At first, I just needed something to ground me. I started journaling every night, nothing deep or poetic, just honest thoughts. Little daily reflections. I'd never done that before, but it helped. I started seeing patterns in myself, things I had tolerated, silenced, or overlooked, things I never wanted to allow again. Then I picked up hiking. There was something peaceful about walking for hours with just the sound of trees and wind. No noise, no voices, no performance. Just breath and motion. I met a few people on those trails, eventually joined a hiking group that met every other Sunday. I didn't talk much at first, but they welcomed me anyway. Back at work, things got better too. Maybe I seemed more focused or more grounded, but I was promoted within 6 months. Not because I pushed for it, but because I finally showed up as myself, without that constant emotional weight dragging behind me. And somewhere along the way, I adopted a dog. His name is Echo, a medium-sized rescue with mismatched eyes and boundless energy. He's become my daily joy. Forces me out of bed in the morning, gets me walking even when I'm tired, curls up beside me when I write. Life didn't explode. It evolved. Slowly, quietly, with no fanfare. And for the first time in years, I felt free. It was one of those quiet Thursday nights where the air feels heavy, like it's holding back something unsaid. I had just finished a late meeting at work and stopped at the gas station down the road to fill up and grab a bottle of water. The station was almost empty, just a couple of cars, fluorescent lights humming, and the soft thud of the fuel pump. As I stepped out of my car, I noticed someone sitting on the curb near the side wall, just under the flickering security light. Cigarette in hand, slouched over, hoodie up. At first, I didn't think much of it, but something about the posture, the way he held the smoke like it was the only thing grounding him, felt oddly familiar. Then he looked up. It was Owen. His face was thinner, tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The hoodie couldn't hide how much life had drained out of him. Our eyes met. He froze, cigarette halfway to his lips. For a moment, everything just paused. No traffic, no sound, just that quiet standoff between two people who once stood on opposite sides of a broken line. He didn't say a word. Neither did I. He looked away first. Not fast, not dramatic. Just slow, like shame settling into his bones. He dropped the cigarette, crushed it under his shoe, and stared at the pavement like it had more answers than I ever could offer him. I could have said something. I could have walked over, asked him how his short-lived marriage was going, or if he'd found someone new to impress with his office jokes and ego. I didn't. I just walked past him, filled my tank, grabbed my water, and came back out. As I reached my car, I turned one last time. He was still sitting there, same spot, same silence. Just a man staring at the ground, wishing it would swallow him whole. I got into my car, closed the door, and smiled. Not out of spite, not out of pride, just a quiet, peaceful kind of smile. The kind that comes when you know you didn't have to destroy someone to win. You just had to walk away and let time do what it does best, reveal people for who they truly are. I drove off that night feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Closure. People expect you to break down when your marriage falls apart. They expect shouting matches, emotional pleas, dramatic confrontations. But I didn't do any of that. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't beg her to stay or ask why. When she sent that message from Las Vegas, just married my coworker. You're pathetic, by the way. I stared at my phone for a moment, and then I replied with one word. Cool. That wasn't denial. That wasn't weakness. That was clarity. Because in that moment, I understood something most people take years to figure out. When someone shows you who they truly are, believe them. Erica thought she had all the power. She thought she could throw our life away like last week's trash, and I'd be left broken, chasing her shadow. But she didn't realize I'd already let go the moment she made me feel like a burden in my own home. Her leaving wasn't the betrayal. The betrayal happened long before Vegas, when she started choosing silence over conversation, contempt over kindness, and competition over partnership. So, I responded the only way that made sense. With calm. With precision. I didn't lash out, I planned. I quietly removed access, closed accounts, and secured what was mine. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to protect myself. I did it so that when the dust settled, I would still be standing. And I am. She said I was pathetic, and I said, cool. Not because it didn't hurt, but because I knew that chasing someone who doesn't value you is the real definition of pathetic. Now I have my peace, my freedom, my own name, my own life, rebuilt not from rage, but from the calm that comes after a storm you didn't cause, but survived. Turns out, peace is the loudest revenge of all. Was walking away in silence the right move, or should I have said more? What would you have done? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more real stories like this.